And we are now live. So I heard that, Greg, you decided you wanted to introduce the show. Normally I would pop off with a, hey, welcome to Catalyst for the Trades. I'm Jennifer Bagley, your host. And today I have with me
Gregg Schonhorn. But today on the Catalyst of the Trades, I'm here to interview one of my favorite human beings, Jennifer Bagley of CI Web Group, because we met recently. So about 3 weeks, maybe a month ago, we got to spend some time at your home in Seattle with you and Mike. We got to go to dinner. We had a lot of fun, really deep conversation. And then we got to spend a little bit of time in Vegas together. And I got to watch you dazzle a standing room only crowd for an hour and 15 minutes, which was remarkable and impressive. But I got some serious questions to ask about some of the things you talked about. But I'll let you go and take over. I'll back off. I'll slow down on being Greg and let you ask me a couple of questions. And when it's to AI, I don't know what I'm talking about. So knock yourself out. You're the pro.
Oh my gosh. All right. We're not talking AI today. I want everybody. So for anybody that doesn't know Greg, this is one of those, my friend list is really small. By the way, it's really small. And I feel like you, in a matter of a 24-hour period, just made it into this really small list of people who I really, really care about and that I really grandly appreciate, that I'm going to make my eyes are going to water. It's hard to find people that are really, really real and down to earth and out there for the success of the contractors. But you say it like it is. I know anything that comes out of your mouth, there's no ulterior motives. I know that you're freaking going to tell it like it is. And I have the greatest appreciation for your style, your personality, your love, your passion for the industry, your knowledge, your history, your background. I just want to throw that out there before we let go, because I have a hard time meeting brand new people and like falling in love, because I feel like most of the time things are so superficial. And it's not like that with you. And that means so much. So
shout out to Billy Greggus, and thank you, Billy, for the introduction. You made a match made in heaven. Thank you, Billy, my boy, and Billy, your boy.
Yeah. Integrity, baby. Oh my goodness. All right. So tell us a little bit about your story. I'd love to know kind of how you got involved. I know you have an incredible story, and your current role.
Awesome. So I actually spent 20 plus years working on Wall Street. So I had the privilege of, after about 7 years, I had the opportunity to start kind of running a sales division. We had about 25 sales guys doing 25 million-ish in revenue. And within 3 years, we were, 100 plus salesmen doing 200 million in revenue in sales. Friday afternoon, 4:00, I was still there teaching the young kids how to do cold calling. So I built a pretty long career in that, had some life events take place, and I had to make a shift in life. And I was always into Tony Robbins. I was always into reading, manifestation and all this stuff. And, had the opportunity. I'm like, man, what can I do? I'm like, hey, anybody in the world could be a coach. Let's just hang a shingle. And then I'm like, all of a sudden I realized Columbia University actually, through their teaching school, had a 2-year coaching certification program. So I went through that for a couple of years, really kind of relit a fire into what I've always been about, which is invest in others with the hope that one day they'll invest themselves in you. Really that skill of active listening. Right, really is what a coach is supposed to be great at, on how to hear what somebody's saying, sort of tap into it and ask a great question. People always say to me, your background in college, did you study business? I'm like, I did, but it's psychology was the single greatest course that I took in college, right? Mm-hmm. Really understanding people, how to tap into emotions, how to talk to people, how to effectively communicate. So fell in love with that early on. But upon sort of what I'll call graduating my coaching certification, I worked at a nonprofit, worked with a couple of Fortune 100 and 500 companies, coaching their C-suite. And Fred Silverstein, who actually owns SF&P Advisors for 25 years now, is my college fraternity brother from 1989. So he had recently gone through, we'd helped a company called Gold Medal in New Jersey sell their business. and Mike was actively starting. He'd already been a couple of years in or 3 years in at that point, really building out CEO Warrior. So I had the opportunity. Mike offered me the opportunity, and boy, did I jump at it. Wound up just the same thing. Mike was really big into, the mental side of things. Why do we put, so many hurdles in front of ourselves? How do we remove obstacles as business owners to really become leaders? He's just a brilliant human being. It was a pleasure to watch and learn from him. But man, immediately I got in. They have a thing called the Den. So I got in there and I watched hundreds and hundreds of hours of all of their client meetings. I always say this, I know what a Phillips head is and a flathead. That's pretty much about where my skill set to be handy. But I could certainly talk to almost any business owner across any trade, whether it's pools and landscaping, pest management, HVAC, plumbing, electric, roofing. I can pretty much have a high-level, intelligent conversation about how to run a business, how to fix problems within those businesses, and kind of how guys really should up-level. I'm not a coach actively, but, I've always a fast version, right? I was out, Fred and Grace, his wife, who is a partner here as well. They were coming up for Thanksgiving to New York, said, hey, we'd love to see you. Went out to dinner. A couple months later, it's, hey, would you think of packing up your 2 dogs, selling your house in New Jersey, and come to SF&P? And I'm like, heck yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
Began my journey almost 3 years ago now. November will be 3 years at SF&P, and it's been an incredible opportunity to work for, by far, the largest broker. I always like to say 435 deals. We just crossed the $3.7 billion mark for our clients. And it's been an incredible journey. It really has been enjoyable to get to meet new verticals, talk to different business owners. For those that have seen me on stage, I'm a ham. I love to do it. I enjoy it. And I travel a lot. If anybody watching plays golf and it's like, hey, Greg, I want you to come here. I'd love to meet you and play golf. I'm in. Yes, you've been playing golf. I love it.
I'm in.
We got one more thing to check off in our friendship list.
We do. We need that. We need a golf day right before it gets too cold. So tell us a little bit about SF&P. I know you guys are making some pretty big moves, have made some enormous moves within the trade space, the industry. For anybody that's not familiar with kind of your guys' role with contractors, let's dive down that.
So we are an advisor. So the easiest way I like to say to people is think of us as a real estate broker and your business as a home. It's the easiest way to think about it. So our job is to help prep you, prepare you, get you to market, and then share that journey with you to make it as competitive as a process as possible. So the fact that we've been in business for 25 years, there's no other broker that exists with that kind of longevity. While we may have, let's call it an HVAC, plumbing, electric for that conversation, we may have a list of about 180 something vetted buyers. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, there's probably 58 known national large platforms. We created 19 of those. So when Ken Haynes wanted to sell Cool Ray in Atlanta, he called Fred, SF&P represented, and that's what turned into Wrench Group's platform. We represented Best Home Services. That turned into Alpine Apex. We represented Danauer Plumbing. That's what turned into Turnpoint's platform. So the 19 of the 58 platforms, the major buying platforms that exist, were done off deals where we represented the seller. So it's pretty amazing. Our phone rings nonstop, plumbing, HVAC, electric. I've made a really hard push, as you know, into roofing, some of the other spaces, and we're really proud of the progress that we've made, because there's a lot of people out there giving some misinformation about what multiples some of these other businesses and industries go for. And we've already proven roofing businesses do not go for 4, 5, 6x. They go for 7x, 8x, 9x, some of them 10x. And it's a fact. When you run a clean, good, competitive process, you get the highest multiples possible.
What do you see? I know that depending on who you ask, right? I always hear different information that, we've already started the wave is over, and specific categories within home services and the trades are no longer priority, or that they need to catch this wave right now. What's your thoughts on where the industry is going and opportunity wise? Is it now or never? Is it like do your thing? This is always going to be a thing.
I believe that there are certain metrics as business owners should be concerned with. Number one, are you sick and tired of going to work? If the answer is no, great. Have you hit a ceiling that you feel you cannot break through? If the answer is no, great. The next question I typically ask people is, is it an amount of money that completely transforms and changes your life? If the answer is no, the last question I always ask, do you know what you want to do next? If the answer is no, you should not be selling your business. If there's room for growth, you love going to work, it's not that amount of money, then great. Let's build a longer term plan to get you to where you want to go. That's the advisory portion of what we do. I think from a multiple standpoint, 2023, 2024, and 2025 have been incredibly consistent. I was looking at Mission Control, which is our board, all the deals, our pipeline and everything. We continue to get 8, 9, 10, 11x for businesses that we were getting 3 years ago, the same exact multiples. So I don't think anybody should feel that they need to be in a rush. I do think there will be another gold rush, and I think that's when somebody finally goes public. So I don't know who that will be, right? You think about an Apex or a Wrench, they might have, I'm going to make up some numbers here, 300 million, 400 million of EBITDA. Maybe it's neither of those, I don't know. But when somebody goes public, I think that will be the next driver of, we'll get back to 2019, 2020, 21, potentially 2 to 3 turns higher in multiples. So I don't think anybody needs to feel pressure or feel a rush. If you own a really good brand, if you have an incredibly strong C-suite, you're always going to be valued and you're always going to get an incredibly high level for your business. That's never going to change.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that approach. And I love that you guys are not just, I love your list of questions. I think that's a pragmatic and intelligent way to go about making that decision, right? It's structured data, which sorry for the nerd part of me. I feel good with structured data. So you deal with a lot of different contractors. There's a clear difference that I see from my vantage point in those that design a business from scratch with the intent to sell and those that don't and later wish they had. What do you think those core fundamental differences are? And how firm would you be about designing any business as if you had the intent to sell, whether you do or not?
I believe every single business owner should build a business to be sold, whether you plan on selling it or not, right? And I talk about this all the time when I sit with business owners or I'm standing on a stage. The single largest deficiency in our industry is the lack of CEOs' ability to understand a P&L and balance sheet. So I've said this on every single podcast I've been on. I'll repeat it again here, right? The journey from 0 to $1 million, sort of how hard can you really work and grind it out? The difference of the companies that really scale properly, it's the next block from 1 to 5. It's understanding your P&L. It's understanding your balance sheet, understanding that net profit is what pays for healthcare, for trucks, for growth. All of that. So really getting to understand how we flow our money through. Are we charging enough? Are we paying our guys enough? All of that stuff really begins to matter. And then once that journey becomes from 5 to 10 million or more, now we're layering in C-suite. Now we know what we can afford, what we can't afford, right? It's the guy in the truck who calls you one day and says, hey, I'm starting a business. I want to spend $2,500 a month in marketing. He doesn't have anybody to answer the phone. He doesn't have any branding. It's like, slow down, take your time. There's a better way to go about being organic and bringing in leads when you're a chuck in a truck or 2 guys and how to properly grow and scale it. The best businesses are the ones that have consistent growth. So think of, most people don't know this, but if a business goes from 0 to 5 million in a year, 5 to 20 million, 20 to 40 million, you're never going to be able to sell that based on the 40 million valuation and have a 3-year history. a business that goes up 20% or 25% every single solitary year, like clockwork, that's repeatable, that's had steady growth over 5, 6, 10 years, will get a premium multiple, and you'll get full access to all of your EBITDA. So I believe in the guys that really reinvest in their business, that don't take a ton of debt out. It's the guys that take this high leverage debt stuff because they're struggling with payroll at some point. They get themselves upside down, and it's really hard to dig yourself out of a $7,000 a month or $9,000 a month interest bill that some of these guys get stuck with. There are some who have taken on debt. The guy like Ishmael, right? Next Gen. Most people know, boy, did he have a set of balls, but he knew how to build and really run a business. But that's more not the norm, right? Most guys, they wish they could do what Ishmael did. But most of the better businesses are really the guys that aren't taking on a ton of debt, that are paying their trucks off, really going methodically about growth in their business, having enough money for 2-3 tough months in a row in the bank. All of these things become critically important. The same way your C-suite does. When you sit down with a company and you talk about their financials, the next question is always, where do your leads come from? Right? Which I'm trying to bring you into this conversation, so it's not just me, right? But it becomes part of that conversation, right? It's the Dan Antonelli conversation of branding versus marketing. They're synergistic because they really are, of how good is your brand, how clean is your brand, how well represented is it and recognizable. Then you have a marketing engine, right? And you've got SEO and pay-per-click and LSA, and there's a million things going on in technology that really are impacting the industry. And you asked me this great question. You've asked me this a couple of times now. How are multiples going to be impacted by these companies that embrace AI, that are using the technology? And my answer was, we don't know yet.
Because yeah.
You've got to figure it out. And part of what we talked about at lunch was, you could bring all this AI and start wiring this stuff into your infrastructure, but one wrong decision, you have to unwire that stuff, can be devastating to a business. So Apex or one of the amazing buyers, Resi experts, whoever, if they're not using that technology and they don't quite want that, it might not be beneficial. At some point, there will become a normalization of which are the top AI products, what are those that should be embedded into Service Titan that work the best, that kind of will become industry standard, and it'll be the businesses that have that versus they don't. We talked about after hours, how do you handle rollover phone calls, one ring, AI agents, all of this stuff is really important, but the future of where we're headed and what works, a lot of these big businesses are testing some of this stuff out, and I'd love to hear sort of your opinion on this, right? Like, let's just start with WordPress, right? The old conversation that I heard you talk a lot about, the actual lawsuits going on, 99% of the websites that exist are on WordPress. And so let's talk a little. My turn to interview you. Let's share a little bit on your perspective there, because I think it is important for listeners who don't know you to hear a bit about it, because I'm totally intrigued by your thoughts there.
Okay. All right. We'll do this. And you started the AI conversation. I was being good. All right. So WordPress. Let's see here. In March of last year, 2024, depending on when you're watching this or listening, WordPress got into a pretty heavy lawsuit with WP Engine. I'm not going to go into all the details behind it, but that proceeded to be over a dozen lawsuits, and now is a class action lawsuit. So move that to the side. I'm going to just call that instability, not my favorite thing. Move it over to the side. Doesn't require a lot of digging to say I don't want to be in the mix of that. The second issue is when, for those 18 months, during those 18 months, there was all of this evolution taking place, the evolution of AI search engines capturing 10% plus of Google search volume, That's a big deal. WordPress was too busy in this litigious state that they weren't focusing on the fact that there are core fundamental issues with the platform. So WordPress has been the content management system of the last 2 decades. And it has because it was one of the first open source platforms that was inexpensive. It was community built. So WordPress.org has a community of developers that all contribute to a code bank. You have WordPress core, then you have a bunch of other developers from around the entire globe that are building WordPress themes. They've all built these little businesses. They all, like Vlad from over here and Ish from over here, and all these developers, millions of developers have been able to build these little tiny businesses, which reduce the cost because you have things that are developed from other countries that have a $45 price tag on them, like every theme in ThemeForest. If you go to ThemeForest, you can go look, and pretty much every theme is like $45, whether it's a Veda theme or whatever. There's millions of them. Then a new business started, and that new business was plugins because the WordPress core and WordPress themes all had limitations. And so all of these other developers started building plugins, gadgets and gizmos that allow you to make a slider, create a web form, monitor the site for spam, speed it up, do SEO like Yoast or Rank Math and so forth. So long story short, it's code upon code upon code upon code upon code upon code, kind of like someone using Service Titan that may only be using 10% of the entire application, but paying for the entire suite. Same thing with WordPress. It's never been efficient. It's been inexpensive and easy, but that doesn't mean good. So when you look at how AI search engines, AI is a machine that prefers efficiency. And what it's looking for is content and signals, brand mentions. It's a beast that you have to feed content to at scale to win. So if it has to spend time, tokens, credits, crawling junk code, here's the reality. Google didn't like it either. If you go to WordPress's website, it doesn't say it's a website building machine. It says it's a content publication system designed for blogging engines to be able to produce or publish massive amounts of content within a content management system, which is called MySQL database. Move that to the side. So long story short, like for me, I'm a tech first person. I'm actually not a marketing expert by any means at all. I'm a technology and a supply chain management expert, operations, logistics, supply chain management, technology. That's my background. So, and I grew up in a house of an inventor that was always first. My dad was the first guy to build the first 2D or video game in history. He built the software. When he saw checkbooks come out, he was the guy that was like, well, how do you validate the money's in there? And he built the first check scanning software. I've grown up in a household where he could see the future, and he was always building something for what that had never been created. So it didn't take very long for me to figure out, like, hey, this is going to be a problem. Like, Google's already said, I want quick loading websites. I want to be able to access content based on user intent. You need to make the consumer the center of the universe because that's their customer first. AI is going to say all the same things, yes, but then it's also going to say that you cost me money if I have to crawl through a bunch. I'm just going to skip your site. They're not trying to create a search engine that's indexing 20 million pieces of information. They're just trying to find 4 answers to a consumer's question, just 4, maybe 8 on a good day. Like when you go search for AC repair in blank on an AI search engine, you don't get 250 million pages. You just get 4 options. So naturally, logic says whatever platform has the highest efficiency in code, has the most AI enablement, is the most AI friendly with the best content wins. So I'm not building WordPress websites anymore. I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm done. We're done with WordPress. We're going to figure out how to build. We're going to test all of the different platforms. We're going to figure out which one has the highest efficiency, most AI enablement, the strongest AI enablement roadmap, allows us to be able to automate content publishing at a scale that we've never historically been able to do. And that's the route we're going to go. And we're going to keep testing platforms because I think it's like a horse race where these platforms are winning. And I'm really glad we did, because everything our entire team has ever known about marketing, you've heard companies say, well, SEO takes time. It's the marathon. It's not a race. Like that. It's a freaking sprint, because we can launch a 1,500 page website or a 3,000 page website and have everything indexing and ranking on AI search position 1 and 2 and in AI overviews and on an AI search engine in the first 7 days. We've proved everything that we know about SEO completely wrong. If I pulled any recording from a year ago, I would give myself the bird and I would just keep moving on, because we were wrong. Like, we should have done this before. So anyway, I'm kicking myself in the butt because we could have done it knowing Google also wanted it. Like, if you focus on AI, Google works.
The family's ability to see the future. You had mentioned something that, even the guy you spoke to yesterday, in 3-5 years, there aren't really necessarily going to be websites. Where do you see sort of Google going? Can you put that I could see in the future hat? What's going to happen with Google reviews? What are things businesses should be focusing on now to kind of get ahead of where your crystal ball is headed? I know it's your business plan, but just for those that don't know you, share.
So
I want to.
I believe, and I could be dead wrong, these are my predictions. I believe that the logic of a WIMP, a window, icon, menu, and page, will be irrelevant, which are websites. I mean, we build websites. I believe it's going to be irrelevant. It doesn't make logical sense. I can pull up my Meta app and I can talk to 15 different AI agents. I've got companions on Grok. The agent builder just launched yesterday inside of ChatGPT. So in what I believe is that a website is technically a training center for what will become an AI agent or an avatar that represents the business. So branding on its own will change drastically as well. It's not a print job. Like, imagine designing a human, robotic human, an avatar that you spent the last 3 years wiring, training, just like training an LLM, training a knowledge base. I believe that a website is technically the framework as a content distribution platform, a training center, training data for what will become an AI avatar that represents the brand. And you're going to have, and this is not going to be a long time, because consumers are going to start using these little AI agents as their little assistants. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg's already entire house is wired with AI agents that will do everything. It's complete automation in every way, shape, or form. So why would you ever, go to Google? And why would you ever go navigate a website when you have this little AI agent? You're going to say, go find me what I need, book it, add it to my calendar, pay for it, write the review when it's done. Let me know how it went. Like, because you're going to have video and cameras and monitoring. And you probably have an Optimus bot sitting in your house that watch them do the project and reported on it. So I think everything right now is content, training data. And when we're building websites, that's what we're building for, is our agentic network is monitoring everything into a centralized hub. So it's called MEN.io, which is this centralized data warehouse that is monitoring every single query on AI search engines, every single query on every single phone call, web form, chat, and we're monitoring everything and feeding it into this database. This database is what's giving us this strategic advantage to be able to understand user intent, which is the consumer is our universe, not our customer as much, but their consumer is where our universe starts and ends. And if we understand the end user, the consumer, and everything that's important to them, their avatar, what's important, how they utilize technology and all of these things, then we deliver on a strategy that's solely focused on the user intent, their needs, their wants, their wishes. I'll give you an example. So right now, all marketing companies are doing the same thing. They're going after, here's the services, here's the cities. Think about the buyer persona. Take a somewhat wealthy, higher end, not higher end. I don't know, a luxury market. We'll just say that. Like my home in Houston, it's empty right now, right?
Yep.
It's a resting place for when I go back to Texas and pack for another event and want to swim and get a tan for a minute. Like who I have to hire for that house, I have a very different wish list, right? I have to be able to trust this company, keyless entry. They have to have a code. They have to have monitoring systems. They've got to tell me when something's wrong. And all I want to know is something went wrong. You took care of it. You went into the house. You fixed it. It's good to go. And I paid for it because you have my credit card on file. Like I have to trust that person. The only reason I know they're there is because I got an automated text and I saw them show up on my Ring camera. So instead of having a comfort club with the little banana dressed up in with a wrench or whatever it is, like make an executive club. And instead of focusing on all of Houston, focus on Champions Golf Course community or Champions Estates or Castle Hills. Like focus on these communities. So when you understand like the community with the most amount of money needs to become part of the target and your brand needs to be able to communicate to them on the residential side, that's a very different marketing strategy because that's a different customer. And it's just being completely ignored right now, quite frankly, even by the private equity groups, which our AI goes out and tells us, hey, here's how the biggest companies in your market are marketing. Here's how you're marketing. Here's the consumers, the universe, and what they're looking for. And neither of you are tackling that.
Right.
That becomes the opportunity. Same thing for commercial, right? In the commercial industry, to see the future, you should know that infrastructure is going to be huge. These data centers are going to be huge. The companies that position themselves as a high-tech not home services, a high-tech heating and air conditioning, plumbing, roofing, and solar and so forth, electrical company that understands infrastructure, high-tech, understands data centers and so forth, those companies are going to make freaking bank. They're going to be paid better than doctors to go do work on the biggest infrastructure gold rush that will ever exist. Like I want to be ahead of that. And I want to drag our clients there kicking and screaming.
So you've answered the question of how, in the future, how will companies that are using AI versus non-AI, what will fare better based on your crystal ball? It's the ones that have embraced it, have fully centric, they're using the agents, they're found through whether it's Google or some kind of AI search in the future, agents talking to agents, they're booking it, they're coming to the house. Maybe it's a Nuvi thermostat or something that's also smart thermostat that's telling you what works, what's not working, what, AC, whatever the other AC one is, that tells you there's a slight issue where it's not maximizing your house, or in a large industrial building, smart AC. There are Searchlight's another one. So there's a whole bunch of those brands out there that have the smart sensors within your system. So the more of this AI, those are the guys that kind of will outlast. And then there will always be those customers, I assume, that are not as tech savvy, a little stubborn, a little older, that's going to kind of want to talk to a human and want to deal with that stuff. But I guess the majority of where we'll be in 5 or 10 years probably is more in your sort of wheelhouse, what you're looking for what a future plumbing, roofing, electrical, HVAC business looks like than what we know what it looks like today. It's interesting. Somebody had asked me recently, what are the biggest growth businesses you've spoken to? And I'm like, I've met with guys that literally have gone from 0 to 30 million, 30 to 100 and 150 million. They're like, how? And I'm like, they 1099 everything. And frankly, they don't do anything. They are a marketing company, and that's all they do is they drive leads, and then they have subcontractors out. We started in California. Now we're in California, Texas, Arizona. We're in, 11 states. We have our subs everywhere, whether we're doing just landscaping, whether we're doing just roofing, HVAC. They're tech plays, right?
Yeah.
VC money, it's completely different than the traditional marketing base that we're used to seeing. And it's a really different way to grow and scale a business. Now my brain's thinking of hooking you up with some of these people that I've spoken to. It'd be interesting to hear you talk to them and how they've grown from literally to 150 million in 3+ years. It's pretty incredible to watch, and really like, oh, we have 8 employees.
Well, you nailed it on the head. that's why we started the Just Start AI community. Is I can't sit down with every single company and coach, right? It's not possible, but I can provide an environment with the content for them to be able to learn. I would love to see this industry evolve into a business owner who is a technology and marketing company who happens to sell plumbing, who happens to sell HVAC, who happens to sell electrical, whatever that is. Because when you do that, God, life is so much easier.
Well, but that's sort of, the evolution of businesses, right? When you're a $10, $15 million, let's use HVAC, plumbing, electric business, it's time to think about, do you have a CMO? You should have a CFO in-house. Worst case, when you start approaching 5, 7 million, you should hire a good fractional CFO that runs accrual-based accounting. But at some point, some of these guys that want to grow to 30, 40, 50 million, part of it is I've already brought in my CMO and we're doing marketing even at a 5, 6 million because we want to be at 40 million in 2 years. And the only way we're getting there is through marketing. And we are a marketing company first and foremost. So it is what ultimately businesses should do, right? Learn how to market, get leads, and have enough capacity to handle them, or sub out till you get there, I guess.
Yeah. This is a challenge, right? The industry is full of different advisors. And gosh, I don't know. This hurts my soul kind of, because all these events put some advisor on the stage, and it might be someone who built this business 30 years ago, and that's the advisor, and people are taking that at face value and saying, oh, I'm going to mirror what somebody did 30 years ago, and that's going to work. Maybe some principles, right? You have the fake it. There's just all the, and then there
it's
are
incredibly incestuous, which is the funny thing about going out with you, to be like, oh, do you know so-and-so? And you're like, no. And I'm like,
I try not to pay attention.
I don't know who that is. Like, I don't know who that is. Do you know who this person is? I don't know who that is. Oh, that's the person that owns that. I didn't know that. I'm just like, oh my God, you are literally so hyper-focused. But that's incredible. You are hyper-focused on your business, your clients, and what you're doing, instead of being part of, don't bash me on Facebook for saying this, but the incestuous world that we sort of live in, where it's the same speakers at the same events over and over, and they all work together. They all know one another. It's hard to find some unique events, unique speakers talking about different content and different stuff. And Krista, you can give me a 10-minute warning. We ain't stopping anytime soon. We can get at least another hour. I don't do 10-minute warnings. How dare you? No, I'm kidding. But yes, it is incredibly, you go to the events and it's the same stuff over and over again, but there is a new generation of people that are starting that need to hear a bit of what's out there. But then you look at, Tommy Mello, who's on the forefront of an incredible business, the ecosystem that he's created around him. He's the talisman of all industries. And anybody out here, I don't care if you're in painting, windows, roofing, you should be watching everything that he has done and incorporate that stuff into your business, understanding how to systematize, how to grow, properly scale. That's the guy, right? And but he also matches his brand and word, his physical transformation in the last couple of years, sort of what he's grown and manifested himself through. It's an incredible thing to have watched, and his success is bigger and bigger, and it's lifting all industries.
Yeah, he is a master chess player. I have an extreme amount of appreciation. That man is playing a serious chess game. I love it. I have massive admiration for that. Brilliant.
But that's what I feel like when I'm with you, that you're playing chess. You are not playing checkers. And that's the challenge of keeping up with sort of having a conversation with you, which is probably why I spent so much time talking to Mike at dinner, because I couldn't deal with all the AI stuff anymore. But yeah, the way that you logically think, that where you think the industry is going, the challenges businesses will face, what marketing is really going to turn into in the next 2-3 years. I think if anybody takes anything away, it's nothing to do with me. It's the critical stuff that you're hearing from your portion about how that marketing engine's going to change, what Google's going to mean, having how you're searched, how you're found, the creation of content. I look at some of the businesses that are really scaling. I mean, just go look at Derek Cormier and the incredible stuff that he puts out around his people. And it's really and the amount of people that are now copying what he's doing in different markets. But he was at the forefront of really creating these 30-second catch your attention. It's a great way to build trust within community and get known without selling anything.
I know. If that man took the AI-enabled, AI-powered digital marketing strategy with permanent assets and connected it to his social media, he's got.
Wait, that's a shout out that I've got to connect you with Derek. Is that what you're asking?
It would be really
okay.
Cool.
I'm not saying I can get that done or anything, but Derek, your phone will ring in about how many more minutes we got, Chris? I don't have a 5-minute warning yet. But
that was anyway. Very powerful. Thank you, Chris. She's got
5 minutes. Got it. 5 more minutes. All right, maybe 7. So that's really cool. So, we have covered a lot of ground, which is pretty neat, right? And by the way, my crappy fake background, yours is not a fake background, by the way, to everybody out here watching. This is the digs, and it's pretty fantastic.
Bag over here.
I love it.
I have 4 nice little baby bags for grandbaby who should be here within the next 10 days, less than 10 days. I just keep looking at my phone every once in a while to make sure if Liz calls, podcast is over.
That's awesome.
Yes.
So awesome. So we know how people get a hold of you. I guess I'll wrap up how to get a hold of me unless you have any last questions.
Yeah, I want to make sure. So at what point in time, which to me, I want my clients to know you, period. I want my clients to have a conversation with you. I don't care if they want to sell, don't want to sell, whatever it is. I want my clients to have a conversation with you. Because as a strategic advisor, I love your straight shooting. I think everybody needs a good kick in the tail. I appreciated it. You did it with me. I needed that conversation. We sat right here on these 2 chairs with a glass of Camus, and we had a coming to Jesus meeting that was very good for my soul. And you need those people in your corner. You need somebody who's going to tell it to you straight. They're going to get in your ass, ask you the difficult questions, make you check yourself, make you rethink your why behind your what. And I think everyone needs to have a conversation with you. They should be in your Rolodex. They should be one of those 11,000 contacts you have inside your phone. How do they reach you? And well, first off, let me just throw it out there. If any of my clients set up a meeting with Gregg, A, do not be late and do not no-show. ! Period, exclamation point. I would say the same thing for me because, yeah. But like, what's your call out?
There's really 2. You can send me a Facebook friend request. I'm pretty easy to find. I've got a very unique name. I'll give out my cell phone number, which is 973-919-5509. And I'll repeat it for those that just got a pen. 973. Hey, there it is. Perfect. Or you could simply email me. It's Gregg, Gregg. That's it. I mean, Krista's amazing. I love it. Either or is perfectly fine. Frankly, just shooting me a text to my cell phone is always the easiest way. And then I could drop my Calendly on there. But yeah, I'm willing to talk to anybody of any business size. Like, I'll have people that literally is a chuck in the truck, completely lost, no idea what to do. You can have an hour of my time anytime, right? I'm more than happy to jump on a call, share some insights about things that you should be thinking about. I'm not looking to coach anybody, but I certainly can send you to some people that I really trust. And I think that's the most important thing. I keep a very tight circle of people that I do trust, that I do try and send people to. So I think that's important also, right? I don't get kickbacks. I don't get money from sending you to anybody. I will never take money from introducing you to somebody. It'll never be part of my game plan or MO. Unlike there are plenty of people out there, you got to go to this person and go to that person. It's 99% of the time because they get something themselves for doing that. I don't.
Yes, agreed. If somebody actually wants to sell their business now or in the future, when is too early or when is the right time to have a conversation with you to start prepping so that they can be fully ready and maximize their efforts when it comes down to the wire? How early would you want to have that conversation?
So I typically tell people when you think you're about 3 years away, you should be reaching out. Now, that being said, I had a conversation with somebody this morning. I'd like to be out of my business by spring of next year. After 25 minutes, I had him convinced to wait a year, and that there are some things that we saw financially. There's some positions that he needs to, there's some things that he could do instead of selling his business for, call it 6, 7x, that he could be an 8, 9x business. We can help improve his net to the bottom line. There's some things that are just clear and obvious and reasons why he should wait. The gentleman you met yesterday, there's guys that come to me, I want to sell my business, I'm looking to get out. And I'm like, fuck that. You're too smart. You're too sharp. You have it to sell. You're motivated. I'm not representing you. You need to go out, do this, this, and this, and grow and scale. Direct opposite of what you would expect from most brokers, right? And it happens often. There will be people that watch this. I had another client, EBITDA fell a little bit. Greg, what do you think? And I said, let's not go to market. Let's hold off. And I gave him a laundry list of reasons. And there was one in particular. And he's like, wow, that really hit home on the reason. This part alone was, you're right. I shouldn't. I need to wait. Yeah. I mean, we only work on a success fee, right? So there's no retainers. There's no BS. So the larger your business is, the more you get paid, the more we get paid. Great. We all win together. So I'm looking for long-term relationships. I'm pretty good at staying in touch, as you know. I'm pretty good at following up. But at the end of the day, you're going to have a genuine conversation with somebody that's going to be pretty darn honest with you about, are you ready? What should you do? Where are you today? Where do you want to be? What are the goals you're looking to achieve? And then let's sort of build out a long-term plan. And even if we check in every year or every 6 months to check in how you're doing towards that plan, great. You don't have to hire us to do that. A lot of people do, but you don't have to. Yeah. That's okay.
Yeah, I love that. Are there any workshops and or courses that someone can go to, or should we create one that will help them get set up and prepped for valuation and due diligence?
So that's a tough question, because there are some of those exist, right? They're out there as a feeder to bring you in and sucker you into selling your business for probably a lower of a multiple than you should be getting for your business. So my answer is SF&P has not done something like that, nor do I think that we probably will in the future. But as I said, having a good fractional CFO, I think, is incredibly important, knowing that you're accrual based, and then understanding there's many levers to your business, right? There's branding, there's C-suite, there's your marketing funnel, there's your follow-up, your unsold estimates. There's a checklist of KPIs within your business. It's really understanding, sort of a scorecard, where you are, where can you improve? And it's pretty basic stuff. And then if you don't have a coach or a mentor, I'm sure I can help you find somebody that would be an appropriate fit based on who you are, what trade you're in, and where are you a year away from selling, and I just need that final checklist. Am I at the beginning and I need a full understanding of how to do the basics? There's plenty of high quality human beings that can help businesses for anything. And I'm just, as I said, I'll talk to anybody at any time. But to answer your question, typically if somebody thinks they're anywhere from a year to 3 years, would be a really good time to reach out and start a relationship and having a conversation. And you're getting the let's wrap up, Jen. So let's wrap it up.
Greg, I love and adore you. Thank you so much for all you do for us and for the industry as a whole. I appreciate everything.
I feel the same about you.
Thank you. And for everybody that's just joining us for the first time, you guys make sure you like, comment, and share. Invite your friends. You can watch this on YouTube and Spotify and Apple and all of those other things. Pick your flavor. I don't care. And if you have something that you guys need help with, like reach out to Greg, or don't even know. A lot of times you don't even know what questions you are missing. Like, just have the conversation, right? You meet people like this. This is somebody you want in your back back pocket in your corner. I think it's important. Cool. All right, Gregg, thank you so much. Any final words?
Thank you for having me on.
Thank you. Thank you, Krista. We love you. Thanks, everyone.
Krista.